a video on me making a cheap pie. So, cooking bacon is basically the cheapest form of meat. It's the offcuts from the end of bacon joints, which can't be sliced or doesn't make nice slices, and it's simply packaged up and sold as cooking bacon. There's nothing wrong with it. It's spot on actually, and if you fall lucky, they're almost like gammon steaks. Some of these bits of bacon, you get quite fatty bits in them, but you know, if you sort through them, you can pull out some decent bits. So there's some decent bits in there that are nice and thick. So it's fine for making into things like pea and ham soup, or what else would you do with it? I'm putting it in pies and things like that. But normally I do like a chicken and ham pie, but it's chicken and bacon really. So it's kind of good for things like that. Or if you were wanting some cheap bacon to put in your cabbage with bacon type of thing. So it's kind of good. It's kind of good for that. So that's going to be the meat part of it. And then I was kind of thinking, well, you would make there's like a ham and leek pie, and it's not that similar from ham, but leeks are more expensive, so we're going to use onions, and then we're going to make the pastry. Instead of doing a short crust pastry, I want to do a suet pastry. It's more like a dumpling type of recipe. Is a suet pastry. Same kind of ratios, but you use suet instead of fat or like lard or butter, and it's a different yeah. So if we use it as a suet pastry, we normally use it to make steamed puddings and steamed pies. So like a steak and kidney pudding, which is steamed, but we use a suet pastry in it rather than a normal short crust pastry. But to keep the kind of cost down, because beef suet, I've got some beef suet. I've got some vegetable suet. That's not kind of the same. It's kind of quite expensive. And I have got some beef dripping. And buying beef dripping is kind of quite expensive. That's £2.50 for 500 grams. 500 grams. Whereas these are lard and they're 50p. So what I thought we'd do is we'd have a go at making suet pastry with lard instead. And I have made my own beef suet before, well, kind of beef suet, by grating some beef dripping. So you buy the beef dripping, then you grate it instead of buying the beef suet. This is getting complicated, isn't it? I really should probably have planned before I started speaking. But anyway, so I'm going to use lard instead. So we're going to grate the lard down. We'll see how we do with grating it. We might need to freeze it first to firm it up. And then it's quite a simple process. We grate a little bit of it, and then mix it in with the flour. Grate a little bit more, mix it in with the flour. Grate a little bit more, mix it in with the flour. And then we don't, because lard melts kind of quite easily. So this will be already started melting just with the heat of my hand. The same for beef dripping, but we just need to be a little bit more careful. So we don't want it to melt into the pastry. We just kind of want to be able to mix it in. So we don't rub it. We don't. So we don't rub the suet into the pastry. We just mix it in and then add water. But you'll kind of see in that part of the video. So this cooking bacon's a little bit. Takes a little while to cook. So what we're going to do is we're going to poach it first, and then we'll draw out some of the salt in it and make it tender by poaching it, and then we can use the cooking liquid to make soups and things like that. But we'll poach the bacon rather than kind of fry it, because I'm wary of the amount of salt in it. So we'll poach that. So that'll be the first bit. There'll be two parts. This is going to be like a 2-for-1 video. So I'll do like a short version of how I just make the pie, and then that'll be in the middle part of this, but it'll also be a short as well. And then we'll have me waffling at the start, and then me waffling at the end, waffling my way kind of like through it. But I'll kind of, instead of making one video, I'll get 2 videos out of this. Not that it's that important to get 2 videos out of one. It's just I kind of think, from my point of view, it's quite an interesting thing to do if I can do 2 videos at once and do like a short, it's a different kind of way of making videos than me long form waffling my way through things and explaining things. Personally, I prefer. No, that's not true, because I like things in different ways. So I like the long form stuff where I waffle my way through things because I think it answers questions. So my idea is always that I'm faffing around with something, and if I was teaching someone how to do something, I have to think about the questions that they would ask me about it. So why are we poaching the bacon? Well, we're poaching it. The answer is to draw out some of that salt. So, and that's kind of the long form videos are more about that, kind of explaining why we do it, what we're doing and why we do it. Whereas the short stuff, my sister kind of said she liked the short videos because they were very punchy. So it's like, do this, do that, do that, do that, do that until it looks like that. Take that and then add it to that. Combine it all together. Bake it in the oven, and done, and we're finished with this, So she kind of quite like that, and I like that also about the short video as well. But I also kind of, I'm generally quite intrigued by a lot of things, so I generally want to know why we do things in a certain way. So anyway, that's my. Oh yeah, and then the onions. What we'll do is we'll slice the onions and fry the onions in the fat that we get out of these bits of cooking bacon. Yeah, so the cooking bacon, it's generally a kilo, like a pound buys you, 2 pounds buys you a kilo. So these are 500 grams, so they were £1 a piece. That was £2. But I'm going to cook it all. I don't think we'll need it all, and then we'll kind of go through that. But I've waffled on far too much, haven't I? Should just crack on. So the next bit of the video will be the putting everything together quickly and doing a short, and then it'll be the more waffling afterwards. Delicious bacon onion pie for 59p a portion. Poach your cooking bacon in a pan of simmering water until it's super tender. Separate the meat from the fat, skim off any fat from the top of the cooking liquid. Fry the fat and skin to render out some of that delicious fat. Drain off most of that delicious fat into a container. Add lots of onions to the crispy bits, season with salt and pepper, and fry until they are soft and sweet. Melt some of the fat, add the same amount of flour. Cook gently for 5 minutes to get rid of the flavour of the flour. Chicken stock cube, and add a bit of mustard to give it a bit of oomph. Add milk in at a bit at a time until you have a thick, creamy sauce. Grate 250 grams of lard into 500 grams of self-raising flour, mixing the lard into the flour as you go. Add a bit of water and give it a mix. Add a bit more water and give it another mix. A loose, shaggy dough has now formed. Roll out your dough. Using this pizza tray as a pie dish will stop you getting a soggy bottom. Ooh. Line the pie dish, mix the sauce, the onions and the bacon, fill the pie, top the pie, crimp the pie, hold the pie, bake the pie at 180 degrees. It's ready when it's crisp and golden. Right, so it's cooled down a bit. I made it before I went swimming, so it's kind of gone cold now, but it was absolutely delicious because I had a little bit before I went swimming. Not too much, otherwise I would have sunk. But I think this is extremely successful. If we take a look at that cross section there, look at that, look at that, loads of filling in that, and really, that's really, so I'll put it on the plate, otherwise it's going to collapse in my hands. So that's really good for 59p a portion. So, if memory serves me correct, it was 4 kilos of, no, 2 kilos. 2 kilos of cooking bacon, 1 kilo of onions, half a pint of milk to make the white sauce, teaspoon of mustard, chicken stock cube, 250 grams of lard, 500 grams of self-raising flour, and then that was it, wasn't it? And then there was a little bit of flour to make the sauce. So about 50 grams of fat from the actual bacon into the sauce, and then 50 grams of flour, and that was kind of enough to make a thick white sauce. Obviously you don't have to render the fat out of the bacon fat, so that fat that I pulled off and I fried, you don't have to do that, You could have just thrown that fat away, but there's so much flavour in that it's those little things are kind of really worth doing if you want to take your food on to the next level. So we could have made the roux out of some of that bought lard, which would have been fine, but there's so much more flavour in that fat that we extracted out of the bacon fat and the bacon skin than there ever would be in some bought lard. And that's layering of flavour that you need to do in cooking. So you wouldn't really notice it that it was that you'd done it, but if you do 5 or 10 of those little things, it starts making a huge difference in cooking. You can miss 1 or 2 little things out, and you can cut a few corners, but doing little things like that makes all the difference. And why would you waste that? Why would you waste that flavour? You know, it's so difficult to get flavour. You had there's I'll probably correct myself later, but there's kind of 2 ways to get flavour. Time, you add or it's not time as in the herb, but like thyme. So it takes you time to create flavour, or you have to buy it. So, and if you get a product, something for free, and you could, with a little bit of work, turn it into something delicious, then you really should be doing it because it's flavour. So think about wine. You know, wine is like vintage wine is all that flavour is because of time. You know, it's matured, therefore it tastes better. Same with things like Worcestershire sauce and all those type of things. They're fermented slowly and develop flavour over time. So, but that's that. And then the pastry. That pastry is lovely, is that? So it's kind of a rough puff type of pastry rather than a suet crust. A suet crust would be thicker than that. So it's kind of gone flaky and a bit puffy. So it's more like rough puff, but certainly grating the lard works. Maybe it would be slightly different if I'd used beef dripping instead of lard, but lard's a lot cheaper than beef dripping. So, and we're trying to keep the costs down, aren't we? So yeah, and nice with cooking bacon. But so I've got a friend. Is he a friend or is he an acquaintance? He's a friend. He's a friend. And he doesn't shop in certain supermarkets because he doesn't want to be seen in them. So he doesn't want to be seen in Lidl, even though I kind of tell him that Lidl's got some really good quality products in there. He doesn't want to shop in Lidl because he doesn't want to be seen in Lidl. He's quite wealthy. So the idea of so from that we go to, are you really going to want to buy cooking bacon? Like, do you really want? Like, some people just don't want to be seen buying it, or go to the checkout with it. You know, like it's a cheap food, therefore, you know, like people with a bit of money don't buy those type of things. People have that kind of attitude, which is silly, really. And then, but you don't have to buy cooking bacon. You can just buy a gammon joint or a ham joint and do exactly the same thing with it. Slowly poach it until it's deliciously tender, and then do exactly the same thing. Just cube it up instead of breaking it up. And I used onions because onions are a lot cheaper than leeks. So onions are on special offer in Sainsbury's at the moment, and they're 80p a kilo. I paid something like that at the Asian supermarket. I think £3.49 for 5 kilos. So roughly in the ballpark of that kind of figure. But also kind of people be like, onions are cheap. You know, so use leeks. You know, if you've got a little bit of if you're funny about the ingredients that you use and you want better quality ingredients, just choose better quality ingredients. You know, but this is more of an experiment into showing what we can do with cheaper ingredients. Just because we're on a tighter budget doesn't mean we can't have delicious food. So from that point of view, I think that is absolutely tremendous. And also, so it wouldn't just have to be ham or a bacon pie. It could be chicken and ham or bacon, or it could be turkey, so like the leftover dark meat from the turkey after Christmas Day, or some of the breast meat. You know, you could put that in as well. But anyway, so I think that's delicious. I think it's a success, and it just goes to show you can still have something extremely tasty for 59p a portion. But that's so you'd still have to have your veg on top of that. So like some basic veg, like some carrots and peas and some mashed potatoes. But that would make a really nice meal, and then a bit of gravy as well. Not a white. I wouldn't make a white sauce gravy. I'd make an actual meaty gravy with that, you know, buy some Bisto type of thing. But anyway, so that's success. I'm going to enjoy that. I'm not going to eat it all. I'm going for a walk with my sister on Saturday, so I'll take her and my brother-in-law a couple of portions, and they can enjoy it as well.